Yes, sir. What it do? What it do, folks? June 7th, Wednesday, 6:30 p.m. on the left coast. Team No Sleep. How you doing? How you doing? Montel Allen, how you doing?
Blessed, man. Blessed as usual. How about yourself?
We doing okay. We doing okay. We doing better. We can breathe. We doing better than they doing on the East Coast. So man, want to give everybody a little dang. Put your mask on. Everything out there. Them fires in Canada are devastating. I was seeing some pictures
Yes.
today. I got some colleagues out there on the East Coast, and New York looks like it's a sandstorm, but it's all that smoke. So I want to give
Yeah.
everybody some love on that. Hopefully everybody's staying inside. Um, what you been up to, man? Let's talk a little bit before we get into tonight's conversation because it's gonna get a little hectic tonight. I'm
Yeah.
just gonna say. So let's just go ahead and chit chat just a little bit. How you living,
Yeah, man. Me, man. Bad news. A little bit of bad news. I mean, unfortunately, I hope we can dedicate this show to a young man, Connor Gerhardt. He lost his life. It's my older son's best friend.
man?
Unfortunately, he
Okay.
passed away. This past week, and shout out to the Frey family, the Gerhardt family. I love them to death. May his soul rest in peace. Then, man, just like I said, I was bringing to you some other news. Prayers go out to this brother Raheem Carter, that's in
Yeah.
Mississippi, to his family, to this situation. If you haven't looked at it, please go Google it, everyone. It's a pretty trying situation, and everybody needs to go check it out and Google that one.
Yeah.
Then otherwise, man, I have some good news also that I was able to present um, an award or scholarship award under the Charles James Foundation under my buddy, my best friend Tim Wadholm, who lost his life 2 years ago to cancer. But I started a scholarship fund under his name, and I was able to award that to two kids this year, Sierra Miller and Marcus Macon. Just a beautiful ceremony, beautiful event, and I look forward to doing it every year to keep his legacy alive, man. And it's been up and down this week, but
Yeah.
we get through. We're gonna get
That,
through it.
that's what's up though, man. I'm give me some props on that scholarship and that award. I was watching the story and I was seeing the recipient when the young man got his reward, and I got to see it in his face that it was definitely uh, a humbling experience, and hopefully you
Yeah,
got something from it as well. Just seeing that young cat get that scholarship.
yeah,
So
yeah.
that was good stuff.
I think it's a situation like with Charles James Foundation. He allowed me to develop it under his umbrella, and they put me on the board. I just think this is a situation for us to be able to give back in a unique way. And then I look for kids that have share the same attributes as my boy did, my brother. Tenacity, competitiveness. All those things that made him what he was. I looked at these kids and looked at their athletic ability, and I wanted to make sure we gave them a little something for them to continue their education to go and play. So Sierra Miller, shout out to her. She's a basketball player. She's going to continue her career at Cal State East Bay, which I'm
Mm.
excited about for her. And then Marcus Macon is a running back, and he's going to be joining my son at Southwest Minnesota State, continuing the legacy for California, going out there. Hopefully, he can play and get out there and showcase his talent and help them win some games. So these are two young, inspiring people that are going on to the next level, going to fulfill their education, and positive role models in their community, in their respective communities. So, I mean, it was only right to be able to reward them with a little bit of something to help ease the financial burden on their families while they go to school.
Yeah, that's dope. That's dope. Um, that's cool. I got a little bit of good news that I want to share as well, and then I've got another thing that I want to talk about at the end of the show. So y'all make sure you stick around. Yeah, it's a little plug there. Um, who was it? San Diego Strike Force. So they reached out to me over the
Yes.
week and offered 4 tickets to this Sunday's game. I put a post out on Facebook for anyone.
Yep.
So Team No Sleep has 4 tickets to the San Diego Strike Force game. If you guys if anyone's interested in that, they're free. Just hit me or Montel up in the DMs, and I'll make sure Montel has the code for you to for you to get the tickets, or just hit me up and I can give you the code as well. But game is this Sunday. It is a pretty cool experience being out there indoor football. You get to get up close and personal. I think if they win or lose, you get to go out there and run around on the field. So take a kids with you or something like that, man. So yeah, Evan
No, it's
reached
great.
out, so it was pretty dope.
That's a great. I mean, it's a great event. I'm actually going to be there this Sunday to support
Oh,
as
cool,
well.
cool.
So I mean, Bert Grossman and the San Diego Strike Force is doing something really unique. I think with that indoor football, and I think it's just going to grow. I mean, like we said, it was a different experience. That's not what it wasn't what I expected but it was a very great experience, and the game was good, and you do get to see the talent that's up close and up personal. I think it got some legs for living a little bit longer than everybody expected as far as being a professional organization.
Yeah, yeah. So listen, if you want those tickets, who knows? He just reached out to me randomly in the middle of the night and sent me the code and offered those tickets. So we want to take advantage of these opportunities that we're partnering with these great organizations. All right, man. Let's get into it, man. Social impact conversation, and we've been bouncing around this topic for a while. All right. This particular topic, I swear to you, we are breaking edge, leading edge, all of that stuff in terms of topics that, again, not really folks want to talk about, but folks got to talk about, and it's now starting to affect so many aspects of society, not just sporting, but now it's getting into legal ramifications as well. What am I talking about? I'm gonna stop beating around the bush. So there's a case in Connecticut right now. Chelsea Mitchell and some of her
Hmm.
colleagues are and were track stars in Connecticut. Chelsea Mitchell claims and has coined herself as the fastest girl in Connecticut. The problem is, and why this is a huge story, is that she is now suing the state for allowing trans athletes to run against biological female athletes in track and field. And what's happening? What have we been talking about for, unfortunately, not unfortunately, but what we've been talking about for a few weeks is that from a biological makeup perspective, these born guys are winning, and the female athletes are saying, "Man, this isn't right, right? This is not fair. It's it's not about anything except fairness, and this is about biology, which is why they're suing Connecticut to reinstate the awards and the medals and the prizes and the places that they would have got had these trans athletes not run in the same races as them. I got a couple more slides to show and a couple more stories to talk about, but just from that premise, everyone listening, Montel, your thoughts. Again, we've talked about this for a while before it was popular, before it was on the news, before it was on
Yep.
ABC and CBS, but now again, now you got a 20-year-old girl suing an entire state for
Yep.
fairness due to her running against trans athletes. What are your thoughts on this, man?
I, I'm 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 not surprised for number one. I'm not surprised this is going to happen because, like you said, we talked about it a long time ago. But now we're in a situation where now, you know, it's starting to come to fruition what we're talking about. You know,
Hmm.
these transgenders, competing against natural females, and now the unfair advantages are starting to show. And now they're starting to show, and they're starting to show the results of these events, and people are upset about it, and rightfully so. I've stated before, if it was my daughter competing in that situation, and she worked her butt off all her career to get to a certain point, and now she's getting defeated by a transgender person who has an unfair biological advantage, I would be just as upset as the parents would be of theirs. I have nothing against a transgender, but it's an unfair advantage. I would have a problem if there was a guy that was all on the steroids and is competing against my son that isn't taking steroids. An
Hmm.
unfair advantage. When those things come into play, sports is supposed to be somewhat of an even playing field, right? You're supposed to be able to work on everything naturally, and play with your natural sex in those categories, because they're driven to be for women's event and men's event. So with those being said, I can very understand why she's upset and why they want to sue. Now, suing the state, this is something different. They're not going after the school board or going after their so-called interscholastic, governing body that does all the high school sports there. They're going after the state. So I mean, I guess it's a discrimination suit. I don't know what kind of suit you
Yeah.
file on that.
So it started while she was still in school as a junior, and it says here she filed a Title IX complaint against the state's policies, but remained anonymous for fear that exposure might hurt her college recruitment prospects. So
Correct.
fairness in sport, um, biological concerns. She's suing to, like I said at the beginning, to kind of reinstate kind of the placing, the medals, the awards, the recognition that she and some of her other uh, colleagues would have gotten had they been able to run in again, I'll say a quote unquote fair race. So, um,
Yeah, but I would say that. I mean, this suit is to open another can of worms, right? It goes on beyond that, not just to reinstate their awards, but now we're going to say, okay, are you going to ban transgenders from competing against women and vice versa against men, or what guidelines are you going to set? Because this is going to be something to set guidelines on competition
Yeah.
in that particular realm. Now, let's make no mistake about it. Especially when you go to that, and it may even go beyond the state to federal and to who else knows, because this will be precedents, right? As far as striking a case like this, we already know some states have already put down the law and said they're not going to allow transgenders to compete against women and so on and so on. This one right here is probably going to implement it where it goes across the board,
Yeah.
everywhere
Well,
for every state,
so
possibly.
now this
Yeah.
screen that I got up here, we're at the federal level. So we're at a federal
Yes.
appeals level just this past week where they're questioning this Connecticut case. And so now it's at that level. What's next for y'all? You know it's gonna go up to the Supreme Court, and we're gonna have some
Yep.
conversations about that. We're gonna have people out there marching on both sides about
Yes.
about the situation. But again, this is an incredibly serious issue, and I think you understand,
Yeah.
and I think you know how and where Montel and I fit on this. But again, this this is the talk of the town right now, just in, in terms of again equality, fairness, and who should be able to compete where. Should there be separate leagues or whatever the case would be? I don't know the answer to
Yeah.
that. I just think
Yeah, it's hard to have a right answer because
yeah,
no matter where it falls in, someone's going to be discriminated against.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Whichever way, someone's going to be discriminated against. Either women to be discriminated by their biological makeup because they have unfairness they're going to have to compete against, or transgender are going to be discriminated and ostracized out of competing against a sport which they identify with. So somewhere along the line, someone's going to be discriminated with. So I think this is going to be a really big issue. Again, like you said, me and you brought this up in front of people eons
But
ago.
before it was popular, right?
Before it was
Again,
even popular, before they were even talking
man,
about it, we were discussing these issues. And now that these issues are now starting to come to head, we have, and begin, I'm telling, like you said before, this is just scratching the surface. We haven't even begun when the Olympics come close, how bad it's
man.
going to get and how people are going to start coming. This is just the beginning. So I think people should be aware of it and pay more of attention to it, because as some of the other stories we're going to talk about, it's closer to home than you think.
So
It's very closer to home than you think.
closer to home, and then folks, again, don't be afraid to chime in. I know y'all listening, I know y'all watching, but we don't have to get into a long, deep discussion if you don't want to. We just want you to think. Right, we want to
Mm-hmm.
have that dialogue, and we want to think about this. But we'll start at that 35,000 foot level with these two cases, or this particular case in Connecticut, and these two situations. The one where it's local in Connecticut, and then now at the federal level. We're talking about
Yep.
fairness and equality and biology. Now we're talking about similar topic. Now we talk about trans athletes playing with biological girls, and now we're talking about these athletes actually getting hurt.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Don't know. I'm not going to say they're getting hurt on purpose, but this particular instance right here in Australia is where an individual has been caught a couple of times and been charged a couple of times with hurting folks. So this isn't the first situation right here. So wondering again, can these athletes participate at the exact same time in the exact same sport? I'm just going to show the video of the incident here. Let me see. So look at the player in black there. Falls down, gets up. All right, there. That's a pretty significant push. Yeah, we see that all the time. Yeah, in soccer, we see that all the time in football and in any contact sport. But the player in white took a minute to get up and was actually injured from this. Should this trans athlete be allowed to play soccer on the same team as girls, biological girls?
That's
I,
that's that's the question.
here's
And
right.
yeah,
Pictures don't
yeah.
lie, numbers don't lie. Here we are looking
Yeah,
at the instant right here. So
yeah,
that's where we're transitioning this conversation, right? Yeah, we were at the legal side right now, and someone mad because they didn't win and all that, but now we actually got people getting hurt because we got
yeah.
this kind of intermingling out there on the field.
Correct. And I mean, she physically, now she physically hurt her, and this is not the first time. The transgender person has physically hurt two other players as well, playing in that predominantly woman sport, biological woman sport. Um, Now that has to raise a red flag somewhere along the line, because now she's The transgender is physically imposing themselves within the sport and it's hurting other players.
Hmm.
So, with that being said, you have to pay, whether you reprimand them or not, you have to pay attention to that, right?
Got
Because
to.
now you don't have one, but if you have three hurting people and then four, now your league gets to be gone. It gets to be gone. I admire probably the transgender for breaking ground and be able to participate and play, but also I can't admire, I don't want to say that I don't respect. I have a hard time when you're playing in an unfair advantage, with
Right.
your physical makeup. It is what it is, and no fault to that person, but you have a physical advantage over these females when you're playing these sports, especially when you're playing in the contact sport. And it's evidently shows she's hurting three people already.
Yeah. So let me
So
let
so
me read that comment right there before you go on. It says this
mm,
publication Redux can confirm that the transgender player involved in the incident is Riley Dennis, a trans activist and former YouTube personality who had previously been alleged to have injured female players at at a match in March. So again, not saying that I'm not going to read into it. I'm not going to assume saying that maybe it was intentional to hurt someone else, but again, just
yeah,
biological makeup, and you out there and you weigh 195 and everyone else weighs 105, and you see how this Riley Dennis is just knocking folks down.
yeah. I think there has to be something done,
We're not
right?
making this stuff up, folks. Right?
Yeah,
We quoting sources here, and I'm
yeah.
purposely quoting
It,
and pulling from all these different news outlets, so y'all don't think that we just lean in one way versus leaning the other way. So these are all very.
no, I, I'm trying to
But
be as fair as
I
possible,
put
right?
that out there, so folks don't think that
I, I
we just
mean,
lean.
we're trying to be as fair as possible when discussing it. It's hard when it's a disadvantage. I mean, there's one party's at a disadvantage and one person has a biological physical advantage
Hmm.
in competing in sports. Like we're not talking about different. We're talking about sports and now we're talking about a sport where you have to be physical, right?
Hmm.
You actually, track. You track. You don't have to touch each other, right? You're running in lanes. You don't have to touch each other at all. There's not a physical counteractive in track. Here, you have to be physical. You will have to touch the other player. You will have to push the other player. You can actually kick the other player. There's a physical component to it now where they can use their biological means to really physically impose other players and hurt other players, as we can see. So, yes, I think something has to be done and to be acknowledged because if not, I think there's a bigger picture that we don't realize. I think you will start to see if this becomes a norm and they are able to compete at that level.
Hmm.
What makes you think this isn't going to start to ease women to stop participating in sports? They don't like to. They don't want to get hurt.
Yeah.
It's the God's honest truth. Can you imagine a transgender playing lacrosse and being super physical in lacrosse with a young lady
Man,
with a stick?
no, man, no.
Can you
Well,
imagine a transgender playing hockey, a woman's hockey? Can you imagine a transgender going in women's wrestling and playing? This is where they actually get very physical
yeah.
and be able to impose their will on this. And that in those sports that I just named, lacrosse, soccer, and hockey. If you don't want, I don't want to get hurt and I don't want my kid participating in that. That means there's going to be less participation in those sports.
Yeah.
That means girls won't sign up for that. That's a bigger picture than just hey, allowing a transgender here. That's a bigger picture. Now you will see women's sports kind of take a downfall because they won't participate in with the fear of being hurt by somebody that's physically has an advantage over them.
Bigger, stronger,
Bigger, stronger.
all those kind of things.
Yes.
So let me ask you this before we go to another aspect of this entire story. Why are we seeing so many of these stories now?
I think the
Why
good.
is this the new hot topic?
I think now because again we have social media, which is now putting a new spin on it and catching it everywhere.
Mm,
And I just believe they caught momentum of what we're saying. It's the hot topic now coming up because things are rolling towards the Olympics. But we recognize there's a problem, and now it's kind of like you have a right wing and a left wing. You have a supporter of it, you have people that are against it. So everybody wants to have their say and put it out there. So now, with that being said, they want to comment and judge on each situation and put it out to the forefront. Again, this still ain't front news. This isn't front page news right now, but it's going to be. I promise you that it's going to be soon
well,
front news page because these
it's
situations
close.
are
It's
happening more and
close.
more frequently. Yes,
It's second section right now, right? So I don't know
yes.
what your paper is, the Sacramento Bee, USA Today, or whatever. So here we are. So let me recap before I go into this last segment. We are at the state level, have suing the state. We had that case get it to the federal appeals level. A lot of controversy, a lot of conversation about that. I got a video
Hmm.
that we just showed of an issue down in Australia where you got a trans athlete playing soccer, hurting folks, not once, not twice, but a number of times. Let me bring it home for you. Let me bring it home for my Southern California people, Riverside, California. All right, Fox. Now I'm on Fox, right? I'm not on CNN. I'm not on MSNBC, right? So again, we covering the gamut here, left, right, and center. California high school brawl involving a transgender athlete or a transgender student draws behavioral and safety concerns. So we're not even talking about sports now. Now again, we're talking about just this whole uh, I don't know, shifting conversation, shifting mindset. Just we talking about this thing that's happening from a social impacting situation right now, where it's
Hmm.
not even in sports. So now you got a born male who has access to both bathrooms because they identify as trans, having an altercation with a born female, going into the female bathroom, having a fight. That's a
Yep.
problem right there. That I mean that's a whole conversation that just kind of blows the mind and just opens this situation up even further. So right, if you thought we were only talking about sports and on the soccer field and out there on the racetrack, now again we got these athletes and these individuals. Again, nothing wrong with folks that identify that way, but we there needs to be this discussion about how we deal with this. And now we got parents on both sides of the situation where you got a trans person going into the female bathroom. I got to get it straight. That's why I got to look up. We got a trans individual
Hmm.
going into the female bathroom having an altercation. They've got access to both bathrooms. I can't keep up with it. So
Yeah.
this is Riverside, California, right? This is down
This
up the street
this
from you.
my neck of the woods. Yeah, this is neck of my. And I remember when this came on the news on TV. There were the parents after were protesting afterwards, and on both sides, and understanding. But I mean, there has to be some type of guidelines when the situation, because for both parties. And I'm gonna tell you why for both parties. Let's start with the transgender. If he has access to both bathrooms and both locker rooms and so on and so on, what makes you think that other males aren't ostracizing and aren't bullying him or her? Sorry, or the transgender. They're not bullying at that point, because kids are kids. We're talking about high school kids. These situations happen all the time. Now you go into the female bathroom or locker room, and now you have females that are not understanding what's going on as far as the transgender process and
Yes.
what that person's going through. So they don't understand. So you already have resentment or an issue if he's going in those situations, which is why this fight occurred.
Right.
So, and then you have the situation where this transgender, I don't know if he was that was their aggressor or they were defending themselves, but they're fighting a female. He got into a fight with a female at a school, and there's a problem all the way around. So this situation, man, I think schools and school districts and states are gonna have to figure out a way to put some type of structure around this to one, make them feel comfortable, make them feel okay about coming to school. But we're gonna have to also educate students on this process and how to deal with it, especially if you have a problem. Because let's
Mm.
be honest, these 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds are ignorant. They
Yeah.
are. They just
Yeah.
don't know.
Yeah.
They don't know. They don't understand. They don't understand what they don't understand. They don't know. They don't know. And most
Mm.
of them, when you're young, you tend to act out in violent acts, right? Because that's the way they do. Especially the ones that have problems. You act out violently, or you're very negative towards the situation because they don't have any education about it. I think we're in this transitional phase where we don't know. So if a kid doesn't know, they 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 tease, right? Your first part is to react to it negatively and harshly.
Yeah.
Like you said, like if you see somebody out in the street, if a kid sees it, like if a little baby sees someone that is a door for a midget, they point and they stare at it because they don't understand,
Mm.
right?
Mm.
Not that they
Mm.
mean any harm, they
Mm-hmm.
just don't understand it.
I see
As
where
you
you're
get
going.
older, you identify with someone that you don't know or that's different than you. Most kids, like if there's the first Asian kid in an all white school or all black school, people tease them because they just don't understand. They don't know anything about his culture, his background, or anything. So the first thing is to tease them and make fun of them. I can only imagine what a transgender has to go through if they identify themselves and try to attend high school, how cruel it's going to be to them on both sides, female and male. With that being said, though, we as adults need to be more, I think, thinking forward to be able to protect them.
Yeah,
and
yeah.
get a
See,
better understanding.
I think that's where I land on this, right? Again, I'm right in the middle, right? And I think we've said it before, and I'll say it again for myself. I don't care who you are, where you identify as, or whatever the case may be, because I think that's your business. That's who you are. But now I'm talking about the safety part.
Yeah.
All right, now we're at the safety part. We got athletes being run over by folks that are a third more their size and weight. We've got
Hmm.
born males going into female bathrooms, showing their genitals, right? And that's what starts sparking the fight. And then
Yep.
you got Montel fighting Sally, right? In the
Yeah.
bathroom,
Yeah.
right? I don't know if I should have been said it like that, facetious
No,
way,
I mean, you try to prove a
you know what I'm
point. Yeah,
saying?
I
And
understand.
I'm just
Yeah.
thinking about the safety aspect. I'm also thinking about it again from the parent side of probably if I was the parent of the natural girl who got in this fight in this bathroom for this particular reason, man, look, I'd be at that school trying to burn the building down.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
would, right? And I know I probably shouldn't say that. My dad's on here and he knows it too. He'd be there right there. He'd be right there with me, right? But
Yeah.
but but again,
Yeah.
it's a safety aspect. It's a safety concern where we're having, and something somehow somewhere's got to be done. What that answer is, I'm not smart enough. I'm in technology.
I think this.
I'm not in that
I,
field. So
I truly believe this is an uncomfortable conversation that no one wants to have
yeah,
because they feel they're going to be offensive due to how they feel about the situation. And I
then
don't think you
nothing
should
will get
feel
done.
it.
So
You,
nothing will
you,
get
you
done.
shouldn't be offensive to your situation. I think you should speak your truth.
Hmm.
If you have a problem with it, you should air it out and then let the person that doesn't have a problem want to air it out. And then hopefully you see through each
Mm.
other's lens to come to a compromise. I think the longer we don't have these conversations, the more of that gap of building of that animosity is going to build up. That divisiveness is going to build up even more and more
Yeah,
because no one wants to have these conversations.
it's gonna
I
fester out here.
Yeah, I truly believe they have to put some structure around this. Schools are going to have to take more initiative than parents do because you can't leave it up to parents to educate their kids about it.
Mm.
Because if they're ignorant about the situation, they're only going to teach ignorance to their kids. That's the truth about it. I'll say it again: if the parents are ignorant, they're only going to teach ignorance to their kids. So, with that being said, the school's going to have to take some type of way to framework this and protect everybody. Do I have the answer? I don't, but I know you're going to have to protect transgenders against biological humans because they're going to get ostracized, they're going to get teased,
There's
they're
gonna
going
be
to
that
get
bullying.
bullied.
There's gonna be that
It's
bullying.
gonna
Yeah,
it's gonna happen.
yeah.
You can't. That's gonna happen. But on the other side, you have to protect some of these biologicals against transgenders.
Yes, sir.
A transgender, you know, male to female fighting a young girl is not the way to go. Showing your
Mm-hmm.
genitals to a girl is not. That's not right. That's
Not the way
not.
to
That's
go.
not the way we want to go. And that transgender doesn't have the right to do that.
Yeah,
Just because you're identifying as a girl doesn't give you the right to go into a girl's bathroom and show your genitals.
yeah. And especially okay. Not like I spend a whole lot of time in women's bathrooms, but I'm just saying every stall is a stall. There's no
There's a
urinals in the women,
stall.
right?
Yeah.
So you got your own private little room in there. Again, I don't want to be flipping about it or anything of
No.
that nature. So
Again.
so
You,
that
you,
action was done to provoke. I
yes.
would think that action was done to provoke and to inflame and to get a reaction. So
Well, I
they
mean,
they could have gone into a stall, used the bathroom, and not had any issue, washed up, and then rolled out, as opposed to
but
doing it.
do you think that was a form of bullying by the transgender over to the biological girl, or trying to get? Obviously, you were trying to
Mm,
get some kind of reaction by showing her your genitals, and showing
okay.
that. So were you bullying her, or vice versa? So I think there's a lot of layers to this
Mm,
situation that's going on. But I can only speak my truth, and my truth is, if that was my daughter, I would be defending her 100%. 100%. I would say if the transgender was my child, but I can't speak from that because I don't know. I don't have experience with that. I don't know anything about it. I don't even know how that works. Um, and I don't mean to be offensive if I'm offending anybody. I don't mean I just don't understand it. I don't understand how it works and how to acclimate that type of person into a school and have them, you know, so they don't be. I don't understand how to be a parent to that type to someone in that situation because I just don't have the experience in doing it. But I do have the experience in raising my daughter. I would have
mm,
a problem if my daughter was in that situation. I truly would.
yeah,
Now, and I know for a fact if my child was transgender, I would have a problem with everybody jumping on her and beating her up, beating him or her up.
yeah.
Period. I would. So I could see a little bit from one side. I could definitely identify with the other side. There's, but at the bottom line, there has to be some structure about rules and integrating them into school. There has to be, because if they don't, we have more and more transgender and younger transgenders kind of coming up. And again, like I said, they are going to be bullied. It's just inevitable. I mean, there's always going to have someone that has a slick comment, say something funny
Yeah,
to
yeah.
them, have some
That
type of
that's always
comment or
there.
something like
Yeah.
that. It's always going to be some type of bullying. So I don't know how schools are going to formulate a structure around that, to prevent that from happening. It's kind of, man. I mean, we're just in a unique space, man. How this is all happening, and the problem is, like you said, it's happening so fast,
Right.
right? I think transgenders and LGBTQ, they're more comfortable now coming out because they do have some support mechanism outside the infrastructure when they're in their
Which
own parties and with
which
amongst their
is good.
friends,
Which is
which is great.
which is fantastic, right? Again, I
But you don't have that when you're in school. That's a whole different mechanism when you're in. You're not. That's a different structure. When
mm,
you're outside in society with your friends, it's a whole different. You're protected. You have people that are around you that support you. There. When you go to school, you may have a smaller group, but you don't have that same protection and that same
yeah.
group that's with you to help you support. So now you're more susceptible to be ostracized, be teased, be bullied, and so on and so on. I mean, man, it's just it's. I don't know the answer. The only thing I can go to is maybe someone that's older than us that went through integration when they were, blacks
Yeah.
being integrated
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
the white schools.
Yeah.
Don't
Yeah.
they can identify how it is, right? They can identify how you're going to be ostracized, how you're going to be teased, how you're going to be bullied, how you're going to be targeted, how all these things are going to happen, how you're going to be discriminated against. They understand that. Unfortunately, I don't understand it because we didn't go through that as much with it. So, I mean, I empathize on both sides, man. I really do.
Yeah,
But
yeah. I mean, I would love, and again, I understand, right? I'm looking at all the different channels of where we're live, so I know there's decent handful of folks that are watching, which is all good. I know we're gonna have a lot of folks that are watching on the replay because the community
yeah,
always comes in, but and a lot of folks just may not want to chime in, right?
yep.
Just because they want to hear the dialogue, they want to digest it, or whatever the case may be. But the reason we're having this dialogue is so we can learn, so we can evolve, so we can get better, and so we can make sure again that these kids aren't getting hurt, getting bullied, getting left behind, getting ostracized, or anything of that nature. So, someone in psychology, someone in sociology, someone who's got the degree in how to understand mental state would love to have that conversation. I would love to have that conversation. All right, brother. I think we beat that dead horse. Is that a
Yeah,
good?
yeah.
Is that a okay? Can I use that analogy? I had to think about it for a second. uh, Nuggets is tearing up that heat right now. 67-57. Okay, I'll leave that alone. But it's okay. I'll leave that alone. Game 3 is happening right now. I saw DJ Khaled out there in the front row. So let's see what's going on. Sports. Let's go over to another sport. Let's go to another topic that, dang it, we talked about it way. We talked about it day zero. And
Mhm.
folks was probably like, "Man, this ain't nothing, man. Don't be talking about this. Don't worry about this." But sure enough, sure enough, the golf world is hot right now. The golf world. Listen, let me tell y'all something. The golf world fell on they face 24, 48 hours ago when it came out of the blue that the Live Golf Tour, the PGA Tour, and the DP World Tour shook hands and decided to be nice with each other and are going to unify under one umbrella. And all litigations, all settlements, and things of that nature have been quietly swept under the rug. This is crazy right here, folks. You don't understand how huge this is until you understand how huge the money in golf is. Now, as y'all remember, Live Golf was sponsored, funded by uh, Saudi Arabia, oil money. It was. It is, right? You look it up. You don't have to believe it. They're not hiding it. They were never hiding it. There's no shame in that. A lot of traditionalists on the PGA side, I think, who was it, Rory McIlroy, the Tiger Woods of the world, they were like, man, hey, we can't, we're not doing nothing with them. We don't want them to even claim any trophies or anything with us. So that was a big riff. I don't know who DP World Tour is, but now we see that they're part of the crew too. But something happened. Somebody made a call. Somebody, I guess, maybe had some film or something or whatever, and they paid somebody off. But now again, like we say, 48 hours, 24 hours ago, all three of those tours have decided to unify it. And you made a mention about why you think this happened, and you said it in passing. I don't even know if you remember it, but let's talk a little about this. And I know we got some golf folks in here, but tell us why you think this huge, monumental shift in the world of golf happened yesterday.
Show me the money. That's what it's all about. Show
Shirley
me
said
the
big
money.
bucks. Shirley,
Yeah,
look, Shirley said the big. That's listen.
yeah. Man. You got to think about this. This is three powerhouses, three major players in the sport,
Yeah,
unifying their resources and their athletes to become under one umbrella to make super money. To make super
super money.
duper money. So golf is a multi-billion-dollar business, and instead of them fighting over who's going to get what and who's going to make more, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a revenue sharing type of event, and they're all going to make equal kind of money that's coming out. So instead of you're going to get 700 million out of this billion, you're going to get 5 million out of this billion, you're going to get 1 billion. Now they're all going to be able to share, and everybody's going to get a big piece of the pie. And now they're going to be able to put the resources together to make bigger events, promote the golfers better, more TV time, more endorsements. It's better for the overall sport because now you have all the best under one umbrella. That's the greatest thing about this, and it's great that they were able to put aside their differences and move forward and come up to with a deal to say, hey, you know what? We're about to make this thing bigger and better than it ever was. Because we also got to understand, I think people don't understand, golf is going through a transition, right? We're out of the Tiger Woods stage because he's moving on and he's gone.
Yeah,
His
yeah.
son will be coming up in a few years. But now the wave of Tiger Wood and the popularity, golf kind of fell off just a little bit, slightly just a little bit. Now with something like this, they can put all the resources together and say, we can mass market this to the masses to get more and more endorsement money, more and more money, and get our players more and more exposure to find that next Tiger Woods is going to be the big boom in front of the world. I think this is a great thing. I think it's great, and I
Okay.
think it shows really very good business acumen. Like
So,
it
so, so
shows that.
that's where it wins. That's what
Yeah,
it
yeah,
wins in the C-suite. It wins at
yep,
the executives and the owners. I wonder, man, if I could be a fly on the wall when Phil Mickelson and Tiger Woods and Rory McIlroy are in the same room now that this has happened, because they was like, no, brother, we through with you, right?
yeah.
Phil went that way and signed that live money, and Tiger was like, man, no, I got nothing to do with him anymore, right? And so Rory, I can only imagine now that at the corporate level, at the 35,000 foot level again, everyone is shaking hands, kissing babies, and drinking scotch. But when you got to get out there on a course and play as your partner, eh,
You're
what's
gonna
gonna
be
happen?
you just said it. You're gonna be shaking hands, smoking cigars, and drinking scotch because that check is gonna take cash at the end of the day. Don't hey, that kind of money solves a lot of issues.
This is growing folks'
I get
money
it.
though. Yeah,
Tiger was loyal. Tiger and them wanted to be loyal to PGA. I get it. Because they gave them the start, they wanted to be loyal. I'm sure they have a great relationship with them. And money isn't everything when you got that kind of money already in your pocket. When you're worth $1 billion, that money is not done. But now you get to put all these young, new, old guys under one umbrella and say, we're all going to be able to make money. We're all about to be in the same situation. We're about to all be in a great place. Golf is about to be in a great place. Brother, hey, we can put those differences aside. I disagree with you before, but hey, we back together again. Hey, let's smoke the cigar. Let's swing these clubs. Let's have a
let's win
drink
these
while we're
clubs.
doing it.
So
And,
like Chris Stone says, make sure we can't be kissing babies and drinking scotch at the same time. There may be some charges against that, but again, this is grown folk money. We thought
this, yeah,
golfers
we're
made
not,
a nice purse when they wanted a tour or a championship, but now you got that oil money in here too.
yeah.
That's
Well,
that's that's grown folk money.
I think now you have more events for people to take advantage of now
Yeah,
because they were all starting their own events. So now you have more events. You can put more, like I said, you got more of a backing within all those organizations because now that money's now coming together. And
yeah.
now you have all those endorsements that are jumping on board that did have a problem with Live or had a problem with DP. There was a run GP. Now they're all aboard. You got to think, man, that's more golf clubs sold. That's more golf balls sold. That's more golf bags sold. That's more. Everything is going to just triple. Now, so why if you had a company and you can join somebody and say, everything's gonna triple. My
Yeah.
business, everything in my business is about to triple. Would you not be a part of that? Regardless if you had some differences, we're talking about from a business standpoint, would you be a part of that? And I think 99% absolutely would say, yes, I would. I would. This is the same situation.
Yeah.
They're just talking big money. Big money.
Yeah, this is unfathomable, and there's a lot of commas and there's a lot of zeros at the end of what's going on. So this is huge, folks. And again, we talked about this ahead of time. We talked about this when it was just breaking, and I said, this is gonna turn into something right here. It's gonna turn into something.
I have to give you credit, man. You called it because you was like, this live with something, man. This is big, and I'm like,
He was like,
man, maybe it's
yeah,
just it's another something else, but this is big money. I think people don't understand. This is multi-billion-dollar businesses that are coming together that are about to take over the world in their one sport and control everything that goes along with it, and rightfully so. They should be the governing body of it, right?
yeah.
Three. It's just like having.
You gonna get
Yeah.
your golf clubs now? You gonna go start?
Nah, brother, man, I'm a hacker. I'll go to Top Golf and drive something, but I ain't getting on that course, brother. Unless you want a bunch of divots and holes in there, then I'm not the one to
Man,
put out
I
there.
know, I know. I still pretend when I'm out there. I'm more buying the drinks off of the carton and everything as opposed to an effective golfer.
Yeah,
But this again, keep an eye on this because I would curiosity is going to kill this cat. I would love to know some of the specifics, and then I would love to just see again when those tour players hit the course together and what that reaction is, right? Just to see the cameras when someone like a Tiger and a Rory and a Phil are standing right next to each other. You're gonna have the tears of a clown, and you can you can be smiling in their face, and you can be cashing them checks, but I can just swear that there's still, you
I,
left. Well,
I, don't,
it's kind of like you left and abandoned the family and went somewhere else because you was chasing the bag. Now,
I don't. I don't think this is
I don't
gonna
know.
be the end of my. Man,
Okay, we'll
that's like
see. We'll see.
wait. That's just like if somehow I left Team No Sleep and got on a bigger
Hush your mouth.
podcast.
Hush your mouth.
No, I wouldn't leave. I'm not leaving, but I'm saying if
Yeah.
we left Team No Sleep and I got on a bigger podcast, and then both of us merged together, and we all making money. You be like, man, you know what, brother? I mean, hey, I had to go chase. You be like, man, I'm glad you chasing and brought me home because now we all making money. I mean, there's a certain level to have your personal feelings and emotion about it, and then there's also the business aspect of it.
You know
And
what?
sometimes the
No,
business aspect,
yeah, no,
it has
that's
to
a good
take over.
point. That's a
Yeah,
great point because that's very similar to how I uh, migrated from the tech show that I was doing with Tallboy Avenue and an opportunity, and I wanted him to take it on and grow that. So okay, no, I see. Okay, I feel you on that. Good stuff. Good stuff.
yeah. You just gotta have it. There's the business aspect, and then there's a personal aspect. And sometimes business takes over your personal. Doesn't mean we can't be friends. It doesn't mean we can't socialize or be amicable towards each other. But sometimes you got to make that jump.
Yeah.
We're witnessing right now with Shannon Sharp about to jump ship on Skip Bayless on
Shannon,
Undisputed.
about time. Listen,
Yeah.
I'd have left Skip Bayless 2 years ago because there'd have been some furniture moving after he after that discussion about Shannon versus Brady that Bayless
Yeah.
put up. There'd have been some furniture moving on that set that day, and I'm sure
But
that there was.
but I'm saying
Money not
Shannon's
good
going to get
enough.
on another show.
Yeah.
They may not like each other, but they'll be amicable with each other, just like Stephen A. Smith is amicable with Skip Bayless after he jumped ship and Skip Bayless. So there's the business side of it that you have to pay attention to,
Yeah.
especially when you're talking about big money. Friendship aside, friendship no matter what. And I know everybody's got to be loyal. Loyalty don't come when it comes to dollars and legal issues. There's not no loyalty. When it comes to money and legal issues, there's no loyalty. So people need to start understanding that when there's money involved, people need to go and figure out the best financial situation for them. And when there's legal issues involved, most people gonna figure out the best situation to keep themselves out of trouble. That's just the bottom line. That's real life.
Bruh. Okay, I was quiet right there, and if Chris Stone is still here, he knows what I'm doing. What that's the cut right there. That's gonna be hey, that's gonna be the one that's gonna be all over the social networks in like 2 hours. That little cut right there, and I can see if Chris is here, man, because he's a whiz at Final Cut Pro or something, bruh. That one
You
right
know,
there, what you just said, that's the
and by
one.
no means, I'm not advocating snitching. I'm not advocating someone snitch, but I'm just saying
Yeah,
people are looking out for themselves when it comes to those situations, and
yeah,
that's real life. That's reality. People can live in this fairy tale land or whatnot. But that's reality. You have to, people just look out for themselves when it comes to the best financial situation for themselves and their family.
Mm-hmm.
And then when they come into legal situations, they're gonna do anything to keep themselves out of trouble.
Wow.
That's those
Facts.
are that's just that's facts.
That's
Unfortunately.
facts. I need to get that trigger here on my audio processor here. Just the word facts. All right, man. So there we go. We didn't talked about live. We talked about PGA. Got two other stories to go into, and just kind of as a recap, because we talked about this before, and just want to give an
Mm-hmm.
update. Travis Rudolph, right, former wide receiver for the Giants, the New York Giants, and for Florida State. He has actually been found not guilty in the charge of. There were four charges from a 2021 shooting that left one man dead after a confrontation in front of his house. So, uh, investigation has happened. Just wanted to give an update on that. We always tell you that we're going to keep an eye on some of these stories, and it's always good to get some updates on that. So this one is now moving forward with some other folks, and Travis Rudolph is now found not guilty. So there we go on that.
Mm-hmm.
Staying into football. I'm gonna read it slow. I may not even read it. I may let you read it because we're gonna set context. I'll read this. I'll read the
Okay.
title and I'll let you go. Former
Okay.
USFL president launches spring league for high school recruits with less restrictive NIL rules. It's a good title,
Yes.
right? Good title. It sounds all good. Sounds positive. It sounds fantastic. It sounds like opportunity. But wait, there's more. Montel Allen, tell us what you think about former USFL president launching a spring league for high school recruits with
Mm-hmm.
less restrictive NIL rules.
I think this is the stake that will possibly end high school football the way we know it. And the reason why I say that is because this is nothing but a club team. This is kind of like AAU for football, and it's very attractive. The way they're setting it up is very attractive. They're setting it up where there will be ex-NFL coaches that will coach this league. They will travel to the major cities while they play. I think spring league is more of just a pilot to see if it works and if they can get it taken off. If they get it to take off, it will be in the fall. It will be in the fall to compete against high school football. I think the attractiveness of NIL, so these kids are basically paid to play. So we're turning 14, 15, 16, 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds to professional athletes because they'll be paid to play in this league through NIL money. I think, and what I mean by the death of high school football, it's going to kill teams that have worked so hard to develop these kids and do that. And they would usually go to their high school team and play. Now, I think they're going to be in a situation where they have to make a choice. And please don't be bamboozled by saying, hey, they get to play in their high school and then they can come play over to the spring. That's a lot to ask for a young man to play 2 football seasons in 1 year. One is it's wear and tear on the body, and it's subject to have so much injuries because you got to think if you're playing on your high school team, yeah, you'll play against a few really good talented guys. Playing in the Super League, it's going to be much faster. Guys are going to be much stronger, and you got the travel aspect that comes into play because you're traveling across the country, and the fact of the matter, concussion syndromes will be way up if you play 2 seasons, and so on and so on throughout the year. Injuries, the risk will take another up 500%. The chance of you getting an injury at this point. I think this is a great idea in some ways because it allows, like you said, the elite players to get paid and open some doors for them. But in the other way, I think it's going to destroy high school football the way it is. There won't be a need for. I mean, those players won't play in the high school league because this is the scenario you got to think about. Okay, mom and dad, hey, he wants to play for his high school team and his players he won it with, but hey, you know what? You're making $25,000 to play with us. You need to make a decision which one you're going to play for. Also, in this league, I don't know what age are you signing. Are you signing kids at the age of 14, or are you signing kids at the age of 18? Are they freshmen or seniors, or is it a collective of all of them? So a kid now that's a freshman, that's a phenom freshman, going to play in this league for 4 years, he can make $100,000 to save just for out of the box. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money for a lot of people.
Yeah.
Especially in places where they don't have as that if their financial situation is not that great. So their son is going to get played. So that means he's deferred from the college scene. He's deferred from his high school. This also puts a really damper on the governing bodies of these athletes that are in high school because now they don't have to go by those rules. You mean to tell me the best player in Sacramento ain't going to go ahead and say, you know what, I want to move to LA and go play in this league?
Yeah.
Why? What's nothing stops him from doing it? He doesn't have a transfer rule. There's no rules there no more. He can go play, join the team he wants to. All he has to do is be in the area, be able to make the practices. They're not bound by the school anymore. There's nothing. Grades are not an issue anymore. Who cares what he gets? I don't care what he gets in grades, as long as he performs on this football. There's not a structure around that anymore, like it currently is in SAC, where you have to have a certain GPA to play and all these certain things. That's no longer a body. I'm paying you to play football. That's what you do. That's your job now. I'm paying you to play in this football league, and you can disguise it through NIL if you want to.
Mm-hmm.
It's basically I'm paying you to come play. And let's flip it on the other side. This person from USFL, it's actually a master plan. It's very ingenious, right? I get these NFL coaches to coach these kids. I get the top high school players to do it. I already have a very good relationship with TV commercials to endorse it. I got the fields. I can get the fields locked in for these kids to play, and now I can monetize off the so-called top athletes in each one of these areas for them to compete against each other. And what do I have? High school football is overgoing just like college. You're always going to get a fresh new batch every year, so it's never going to stop.
Yeah.
Kids are going to want to play. Ingenious from a business standpoint in this model, what he wants to say. I think it's just dangerous because now you're asking kids, one, to kind of choose where they're going to play, who they're going to play for, and you're going to make these kids basically professional athletes before it's time for them to become professional athletes, especially in the football world. You know, there's usually a kind of a, you go to Pop Warner High School, college. Well, now you're going to high school. Now I'm looking to get paid, right?
Okay,
There's a whole different dynamic.
So let me ask you this, right? Because when I read it, I read it from, again, third person removed, but you've got, that insider kind of mindset, which and made me think
Mm-hmm.
of that. Okay, so this may not be all roses and wine kind of thing. Um, do you think that you say it's going to kill high school? It could possibly kill high school football, and of course the way the structure and the way that things are set up right now. Does this affect
Yeah,
the draft? Does this affect going into the NFL or something of that nature? Or
I don't think it affects that, but
Will
I don't.
Roger Goodell go and find kids that are playing in this league as
No,
opposed to? Okay.
no. Just like when we were talking to Bert Grossman, when we talk about indoor football, how talented they are, but
Mm,
how when you get to that NFL league, they're mainly elite athletes that are
mm-hmm.
different. I think you still got to go through that process of maturing and becoming an elite athlete, and not too much there in football at the age of 18. It's really rare that 18-year-olds that mature. Kind of got to get to your 20s, get stronger, faster, bigger,
Yeah.
and more coordinated before you can come to that level. So I don't think that'll be effective as far as the NFL. What I do believe it'll affect is now going into college, because now you got to remember this kid's a 14, 15-year-old just being getting paid. Now he wants to go to college and get paid. We're making them. They'll be professional athletes for 8 years before they even get the chance to go into pro. You have a chance to earn so much
That's
money before you
wow.
get to the pro.
Yeah, that's an interesting point, right? So again, so we're bringing NIL down to the high school level, and again, kids coming from nothing, maybe, right? And
Yep.
again, we were talking about getting paid for their name, image, and likeness when they're in college, but now if they're playing an AAU type league in high school, what you gonna tell us? What you gonna tell this 15, 16-year old who was already getting paid to play and didn't have to go bag the groceries at Ralph's or didn't have to go sell cars at the BMW dealership? I was getting paid to play football. And now I'm going to
Yeah.
go to Michigan or I'm going to go to Alabama, and you're going to try to tell me something, brother. For 2-3 years, I've already been cashing a couple of checks,
I've been cashing. I've been getting a check
right?
for 25,000. I've been getting a check
Yeah.
for 75,000. I've been getting a check. I don't, however the structure is for the NIL. Now you're asking. Now you're gonna. You're tempting and you're luring these 14, 15, 16, 17, 18-year-olds
Wow.
with this money and the structure of having, working with an ex NFL player as coaching and so on like that. I think those are all great things, but I think those things are going to be detrimental to the way high school football is played now. Now won't be the same because now your top players aren't playing for your team no more. Your top players aren't going to your school anymore. Your top players don't have to be subject to grade checks and all that anymore. They don't. They all they got to do is go play club. I don't need to be. I'm just going to play club football. I don't need this anymore. I can go
Crazy.
play here and do this.
I can
The
just
one,
play right here. Okay, go ahead.
yeah, I can play here
Talk.
and get paid. I can play here and get paid. I mean, what's the difference? I can get paid now.
Yeah. So let me bring this question up to you that came in from Mr. Cox right here. Right. He says, I think another thing to think about is why as society are we okay with NIL being big money, but regular everyday jobs aren't compensated in the same way. Right. That's a whole nother conversation, which is a good conversation. But again, now we're talking about paying 14, 15, 16. Yeah. That age
Yep.
kids to
Yeah.
play ball, give them all this money at that age to go out and buy their candy at the candy store, their PlayStation games or whatever. That's what you buy at 15 years old, I think,
Yeah.
right? But
I think that we're crossing the line is really it's dangerous, and I just think it's dangerous because we're, we're not allowing these kids to mature in the sport of football. You're throwing them to the wolves right away to play against
mm,
other elite competition, and the younger ones, the seniors should be okay, but as you get the younger ones playing, I think there's a bigger issue because when you get a freshman that's playing varsity, right, and he say he's one of the leagues going to play in this elite league, you got to think at the age of 14, he's going to be traveling from California to Atlanta, to New York, to
crazy,
Florida.
crazy.
At the age of 14, he's flying all these places and playing ball for 4 years. He's making money. He's doing these things, and I don't think they're going to pay him a drastic amount of money, which I don't think they should. I
Yeah.
think, but they're going to be paid somewhere. I think between 10 and 25,000,
So
somewhere around probably in there.
so stop, pause, because I can swear that Kevin's the left side of your brain and you're the right side of the brain, right? $25,000. And in some states, our educators don't get
Yeah,
paid that kind of money. We can't
exactly.
we can't pay our teachers that kind of money, but we can play a 15-year-old to go out there and run up and down the field. Come on, man, something
Yep.
wrong. What's wrong
Well,
with this picture?
is something wrong? Well, it's the consumer. That's right. People are going to watch it. Well, ESPN already televises high school
Yeah,
sports football.
yeah,
Now, can you imagine that they're televising the powerhouse?
mm,
The best of the best from San Diego going to go to the
yeah.
best of the best from Cleveland.
That's gonna be hot. Yeah,
That
you're right. That's gonna be
that's
hot.
that,
Hmm.
that's entertainment. People are going to want to watch that. They're going to pay money to go see that. Advertisers are going to spend money to do that. Unfortunately, they don't spend it on teachers. And I agree with you, Kevin. We should be paying teachers and then more money than they should be making minimum six figures a year every year, all
Hmm.
teachers,
Hmm.
and get hazard pay on top of it. But since it isn't, that's why there's a market for it. That's why I ain't gonna lie, man. His idea is very ingenious. It's a very good idea, business idea. It's a very good business plan. I just don't think he understands the fabric that's going to destroy a lot of high school football. It is because, again, I told you, kids are going to have to choose now because it's all dandy in the beginning, right? Oh, play your regular high school and then come over here and play
Yeah,
during the pilot. It's only going to be 4 or 5 games. Once this thing takes off and he sees it's going good and making money, oh, young man, you got to make a decision which one you playing in because I can't risk you getting injured in the fall and trying to rehab to come back and play. It's
can't
either
do
you
it.
pay for us or you play for high school.
Can't
So
do it.
now we're putting that kind of pressure on a 14, 15-year-old to make him make those kind of decisions. And the mom and dad all of a sudden are going to step in and say, hey, well, I think you should. Obviously, you go with the money, right? Most of us going to go with the money. It's just kind of the nature of the beast.
Yeah,
I'm going to tell my 15-year-old, yeah, you need to go chase that 25,000 a year. You're going to be playing in that league for 3 years. That's 75,000 extra income we have in our family.
that's what a lot of listen. That's real talk, and that's what a lot of families are. I'm curious and interested to see and know why. I'm gonna put this up here. Where I would have okay. No, I do see Dallas, Houston, because I
Yep.
know high school football is ridiculous in Texas,
Yes.
right?
Yep.
It's big. It's more popular than anything else going on right now. But there is Dallas, Houston, Cleveland, Jersey, New Orleans, L.A., Miami, Phoenix, San Diego, San Francisco, and Tampa are the prospective new locations
Yep.
for this league. So okay, okay.
And those are all the hot spots or hotbeds for recruiting,
Hmm.
right? Those are
Hmm.
the hotbeds where most college recruiters go to recruit. Now you're going to form this super league, these super teams to be able to play against each other and compete against each other, which I think is a great idea. But I believe this is a pilot, right? I'm going to do it during the spring when there's no football where I can get a lot of them to go ahead and commit. And then if it's successful, I just take it over to the fall. I compete against regular high school season because
Mm.
now I can get all the players to come here, regardless of that they can forget CIF and all that stuff, where they can forget the governing bodies that manage these states. Now we're club. It's just like AAU does. AAU competes during basketball season, and the better kids play AAU because they travel. They get to go different places. You
Yep.
you play your AAU in Sacramento. You're going to Las
Oh
Vegas. You're
man.
going to Houston. You're going everywhere
Nevada,
across the
listen, yeah,
country.
they play and they swagged out. That's for sure. Yep,
Yeah,
you're right. Yeah.
that's another thing. These school teams are going to get sponsors. They're going to be sponsored by Nike or Adidas or whoever. You're going to be swagged out. You're basically a professional athlete at the age of 14 if you make this team.
Crazy.
So
We're going the wrong way, man. Because I mean, like Joshua, and glad you here, brother. Right, we're just going the wrong way. The only way teachers are going to make six figures if schools become more privatized and it actually becomes a business commodity like NBA sports in general. Right? It just seems now that you explain it more and talk about it more and read between the lines, this really is detrimental
it has
in
detrimental. It has some detrimental
than
features.
that.
Yes. Yeah, it has a lot of detrimental features kind of to it it's gonna change the landscape that where it's done now. You know, the way things are done now, I mean, you have kids that go to high schools, they play sports, they got responsibilities of keeping the grades up, they got all these things going on. Now you have these in these selective cities, you're gonna have the best players from all the surrounding areas wanting to go to that area, go to their school, make it to practice. So now all those teams that were supposed to be good and have these good seniors on there, those seniors will no longer be there. They won't be gone. And I think if this is done, just you best believe it's going to be done on a lower level. Just like you have the NFL, XFL, USFL, indoor football, Canadian football, you best believe there's going to be other clubs sprouting up, taking some of the lower level players to be able to do the same identical thing, to be able to master that market, which will be, I think, the end of high school football. It will become now club.
That means we change it from the student athlete because, like Marvin is saying here, and we wonder. So appreciate you for being here as well, man. Are we still going to have a GPA requirement? Do we care that you are doing something in school, or just that you can run up and down the field real fast?
They care if you can run up and down the field because you're making money. Man, you're a paid athlete. Do I care if you're getting a D in English if I know you can run a 4.4 and you're going to be in the NFL in about 4 or 5 years?
Okay, crystal clear now. Crystal clear.
I'm being honest. You as an agent, as a representative of that young man, you may say, hey, I care about if he gets his high school diploma and all this stuff. I really do care. But the bottom line, you care if he runs a 4.4 and he can break tackles and he can run and make touchdowns. That's what you care about. Because as long as he can make money on the field, I make money on the field because I'm his agent, I'm his representative. I don't make money if he's in school getting straight A's and he's getting ready to go to Harvard to be a doctor. I don't make any money off of that.
Make it plain.
I make money off of him being able to be on that field and do these things. I also think there's another caveat to it. They're going to pillage a lot of the great high school coaches that's been coaching this league because they are going to be their biggest advocate in recruiting the top talent around those areas. Wow. So you got a whole dynamic. High schools are going to lose some of the top coaches. They're going to lose their top players. They're going to this league that's going to play, that's going to be monetized. Now, high schools have kids they can't control because this kid's walking around with his swagged out and he's making $25,000 and he has some type of entitlement all of a sudden because he's 15 years old and he's playing for this league. I think that now playing multiple sports may be eliminated now. Kids may not want to do that anymore because they're getting paid. They don't want to risk getting injured no more. They don't want to play basketball, and football. They want to, or in baseball, they kind of just want to stick to one sport because that's where they're getting their paycheck from. As of right now, we're turning these kids into professional athletes, which is really dangerous, in my opinion.
Way too soon.
Way too soon.
Pimping out the poor kids for these leagues, and this is just a start. I don't have a crystal ball. I don't have a magic 8-ball, but I just wonder. Starts with football because football is the most profitable. But does this trickle into baseball? Does this trickle into at that level gymnastics? Right? Does it trickle into some of those other sports at that level to try to monetize the youth?
I have a better question for you.
Pimping out the poor kids for these leagues, like Shirley says.
But does that make schools now say, "Shine it, we're going to eliminate that budget altogether"?
Oh, it's going away. Listen, it's right.
That budget now
that we taking away the arts. There's no home ec. There's no typing. Well, no, God, I'm just dating myself, right? But there's none of those extra types of things right now, and a lot of arts and music and sports is going to go away too.
I think sports. I think if something like this comes and it starts to be prosperous, I think schools will start looking at like, do we really need an athletic budget for football? Do we really need an athletic budget for basketball?
Yeah, man.
If the kids really want to play, one thing is go play club because now that eliminates the whole dynamic that schools don't have to worry about. Remember, schools don't have to worry about having fields no more. They don't have to worry about hiring refs. They don't have to worry about insurances. They don't have to worry about having trainers. They don't have to worry about having a medical staff. That cuts all that cost if they say we can eliminate that athletics from school. You guys go play club if you want to play. It falls in line. It doesn't sound right, especially I
Yes.
know from a person that's educated in the school. But if you're looking from the business aspect only, it makes 100% sense.
Yeah, from a business side, it makes sense, and I'm glad that someone like Kevin Cox is here because he's in education, so he can
Yes,
he can probably foreshadow and see kind of what we're talking about and foresee, right? You know, the curtain is coming off, and we're saying, right, we don't need these fields anymore, we don't need these budgets anymore, we don't need, like Shirley says, we don't need the Letterman jackets anymore. So all
yeah,
this other stuff where this funding was coming from boosters or from the refreshment stand because we were out here on the field Friday night lights, you don't need anymore because you're playing club level
go play club.
football.
And,
Man,
on the flip side, we make money because we can rent the
come
field to the
on,
club.
man.
We can rent
Say
the field for practicing to the
say
club.
good. Say
So
good,
now, so
y'all.
now we're turned into a situation where we thought as an expense, well, we would make a little bit of money. Now we're making 100% profit
Whew.
because all we're doing is renting to clubs and Pop Warner, and they got to pay for the insurance and they got to pay for the use of the field. So business wise, it makes so much sense. Development of our youth and our young men, it makes no sense because now we're putting a lot of these men in entitlement situations. And if we make football our club, and honestly, there's going to be a situation where some kids won't be able to afford to play, right? So now we're going to be ostracizing some kids out of it. But that's the nature of doing business, right? Some kids can't participate when doing business; they can't play. I think they're willing to sacrifice that more so than letting everybody have opportunity to participate and play. I'm telling you, this is the first stake in the ground that is going to change. I think could change the landscape completely in all high school sports. Where AAU you can kind of dangle it a little bit because
Mm.
it's only 12 people, right? Football is 60 people minimum, sometimes 100.
Yeah. Make it plain, brother. Make it plain.
Yeah, not including if they're going to have cheerleaders and all that stuff. So you're taking a huge population of a class and putting them in this professional realm. A huge population, and most likely a lot of those people are influencers in their school. They're influencers in their community with you because they're some of the best athletes. You're going to have a whole dynamic shift in attitude and way these kids walk, move, and operate if you're going to start paying them right away to play on this team. And like I said, you're treating them like royalty. They travel now.
Yeah.
They have bags. They're getting on the flight on Friday night to
Yeah.
go travel to play on Saturday. They're getting on the flight on Thursday night to go travel.
Think about this. Here it is. Make it plain right here. So no longer Friday night lights at Mahaney Park. We at SoFi Stadium.
Yes,
Right.
yes,
That's crazy talk,
yes.
right? Uh,
We think it's crazy, but the 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 the, the, the market is there. The market is there. Doesn't make no mistake about it. There's a
market's
market
there.
there
No, I
for
agree
it.
with that. I agree with that.
And this gentleman has the structure and the foundation behind him to make it work.
Yeah.
He was one of the founders of the USFL. He knows how to make it work and how
Yeah.
to make these situations happen with an unlimited commodity of football players to pull from. Because just don't think because you live in San Diego don't mean they're not gonna pull somebody from Orange County that's a top player. They're not gonna pull somebody from Sacramento that wants to move down to San Diego to be able to participate. They're gonna pull players from Las Vegas that wants to play. Players are gonna come from all which way away because they want to be part of these elite teams to play. And if they make the team, why not? It's gonna be now the highest of the highest level high school football playing against each other for money. And like I said, everything is a copycat. There's always going to be a copycat. They started, someone's going to start at a lower level, then a lower level, and then a lower level than that. So there'll be a place for a lot of people to play, but it won't be as much like the NFL pays so much more money. These won't pay as much money, but there's going to be a formula in place to change the landscape, just like AAU changed high school basketball,
Yeah.
which we know.
That's crazy, man. Because and that is the domino effect of something that we've talked about before and that what Kevin was talking about right here, right? You know, how many athletes who have been playing competitively since they were early are done by the time they are freshman or sophomore in high school. They don't care about sports anymore. So, I mean, right, having that conversation around how to manage if you're going to be getting paid at this early age, making sure you got the right people around
Yep.
you. So now that conversation that we were having about the college athlete, the superstar at the college level, now migrates down to this super
High
league
school level, yeah.
of to the high school level. And
Yeah.
the high schoolers are already they got the test out. They walk around like they did anyway. So now if I'm gonna
But
pay you to go out there and do your thing,
I, I think we got to talk about the same aspect we talked about high school, college. Where is it when they become targets, right? Because if 25,000 is a lot of money to you
yeah,
personally, it's a lot of money to your neighbor.
yep,
It's a lot of money to his friends. it's a lot of money to the guy that doesn't like him down the street.
Hmm.
What makes you think all of a sudden don't become a target because you're playing in that league and you're getting paid? You become a target now,
Yeah.
regardless of the situation.
It's going to happen.
So, and
This
we're
this
talking
is that
about
underbelly, right? That probably no one thought
yeah,
about. That they didn't think about. This is that underbelly that is going to
yeah.
happen.
This is things are going to happen. I mean, Allah, let's I don't know what situation, but like Mikey Smith, I mean Mikey Williams, that played in San Diego, the basketball player,
Yeah.
that's going to Memphis, who's got an altercation with a gun. He had to protect himself because he knows he's a valuable commodity. He gets a lot of NIL money. He has money. I don't know what the situation would happen in altercation, but he knows he's a target, so he had to have a gun to protect himself. What makes you think that these young people aren't going to start out carrying guns once the money becomes more prevalent and more accessible to everybody to understand where it's at? Then now you don't become a target. Like I said, 25,000. If it's important to you, it's definitely important to the next person. And we know kids in high school. This is where all they're not smart enough to be counted. This is where all the gang stuff comes in. For when in those type of environments, this is where all that stuff comes in. What makes you think they're not going to be targeted in those types of neighborhoods? What makes you think they're not going to be jacked in those type of neighborhoods? What makes you think they're not going to be subject to, like I said, being a target in these neighborhoods? I think they are. Those are underbelly things when you create an environment like this. And who's going to stop a 14, 15, 16-year-old from going out? I mean, you can't keep them chained up in the house all
Yeah.
day, every day.
Yeah.
So now there's a whole different ecosystem that's going to come along with this that I don't think people are prepared for.
And it's different than the college student. We'll move on, folks, but we'll keep this going because this is going to, again, this is day one of this type of this story right here. And again, we're breaking kind of the news, and we're going to keep following it. But it's a different conversation than you would have with a sophomore in college than you would have with a sophomore in high school who is now getting paid and probably making more money than his parents. Maybe. Right? Again, not knowing what the parent,
Let,
but
I
has an
mean,
opportunity to not need that
yeah,
allowance anymore, but who can go to the mall and buy everybody what they want, right? Has that money. Now you're a target because you're
yeah.
going out there and you flossing
You,
with all this cash, but again, you got
you
that
got
mindset that you it.
think about this, James. Let's say they just give him $12,000, $1,000 a month.
Yeah.
When you were 14 years old, what would you do with $1,000 a month?
Man, listen, I would shoot.
Exactly. You got the world at your feet. Am I correct?
Yeah,
A
yeah.
thousand dollars a month. So $1,000 a month, we know is a lot of money. Imagine a kid getting a thousand
14
dollars a
years
month.
old.
14, 15-year-olds got $1,000 a month, every month coming on every day on the first. It's coming. It's coming.
I'd be at the bowling alley every single day, boy.
Now, can you imagine the people that you didn't get along with or didn't like you?
Yeah.
See, you got that thousand, getting that. They know you're getting $1,000 a month. What kind of target are you going to be now?
Yeah, they gonna meet me at the bowling alley and want to act a fool, and they got 10, 12 pound balls. They're gonna start hurling at me right if I
Yeah,
don't kick
they're
in.
going to want to start trouble with you. They're going to want to
Mm-hmm.
do something with you to provoke to make you to invoke you to do something, right? They're going to try to make you do something or make you react a certain way, so they can have an altercation with you, either because they're jealous or they want to try to take what you got.
Yeah,
And if you're 14-year-old, you're with $1,000 a month, you're rocking the brand new Jordans all the time. You probably got those kids are just being very, very out there with their money. They want to flaunt it. They want to be on social media advertising what they got, instantly making them a target. And people don't think about those things. They just think about what they can get on the other side. There's a social aspect that they don't even consider that can possibly happen to these kids, putting them in that situation.
yeah. Mm,
And I think 15, 16, 17, too young.
too
I think
young.
this is just too young.
All right, let's keep up with it. This is gonna be another one that we're gonna bookmark and figure out if this even materializes. We
Yep.
right. This is still just on the back of a paper napkin, right? And no one's in the league yet. No one's suiting up as of yet. So we'll see how this all materializes. But this is again another one that we got a feeling though that it's going to come to fruition because again there's money involved. There's going to be those markets that I pointed out. There's going to be interest in those markets,
Yep.
and obviously the students are going to want it. The parents of those students are going to want it. It's just going to be the conversation between the schools, the school districts, high school coaches, and things like that of the players that don't get selected to play on this super league. So we'll keep track of this, man. But you bring a great alternative conversation about this because when I initially read it, I said, okay, this is cool. Right, so this is cool, but
Yeah.
didn't read all of that backstory, man. So, my goodness, there we go, folks. I told you we get into it here. Let me make sure I got all the comments here. See, Kevin says, let's look at child actors or music people and see what happens when those kids get money early and how they turn out as adults. Good point right there, man. Uh, there were B union to keep it legit. There were There will be union to keep it legit. Oh, there'll be unions to keep it legit. Maybe, hopefully so. Right? We'll see what happens. We'll see what
I,
happens on that.
It's interesting that she said that. I wonder if anywhere that the child labor laws come into effect, right? Do they? I mean, let's be honest with you. I mean, you gotta
Oh, okay,
you,
yeah, right.
you have to
Okay,
ask
there
that
you
question.
go.
If you're being paid to do something, you typically can't work a job till you're 16, right? Without a worker, and have to get a worker permit.
You 14 years old. You out there getting paid to play ball. You can only work 4 hours a day without taking or whatever. Can you travel? Oh my gosh.
All that has to come into play. So, I mean, me personally, I might have to start me a high school agency.
Here go opportunity right here, folks. Listen,
Yeah,
y'all just got
you
a
know,
new side hustle right here on Team No Sleep. You
I'm,
got
I'm just, I don't know how this is all gonna play out, man. I don't think it's as
yeah.
good as it looks on the surface. I really don't.
Yeah, this is going to be interesting to see. So we will see what jumps off with this. Uh, yeah, like Kevin says, we start a consulting firm to figure all this out. La-
Exactly.
last story. Let's wrap with this, man. Won't be cognizant of folks' time. I'm over here watching these Nuggets tear up these Heat. So it looks like they took Game 3. We made our predictions a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Montel's got them Nuggets. I got Jimmy Butler, Jimmy Buckets Butler. But we'll see
No,
how
it was the
those.
other way around.
What
I got the Heat. You got the
was it?
Denver Nuggets.
Okay. Well,
Yeah.
then I'm cool. Then see. Okay, so if my dad is still here, because I was all down in the face the other day because he was over for Game 2 and the Heat won.
Uh,
I thought I chose the Heat. Okay, so I'm cool
no.
then.
Yeah,
Hey,
you good.
okay,
You good right now.
okay.
Yeah.
I'm in a better mood now. We got our gentleman's bet. So okay, so I'll move on from that and I won't rub it in your face. But let me get some shout outs here, man. I had a member of our community reach out not too long ago, Mr. Sidney Scarborough is his name. Subscriber to the channel. And his family, his daughters started a company. Love
Oh,
more.
cool.
Love more. So his daughters, Sydney, Sage, and Savannah. I love how everyone in the family has an S name, so they all SS. So Sydney
Hmm.
Scarborough, his daughter Sydney, Sage, and Savannah have started Lovemore 916.com. So they're based here in Sacramento, and they have started their own clothing brand, and they got some pretty dope bits of merchandise out here. And they have been generous enough to offer everyone on Team No Sleep community a 20% discount off of their purchases if they use that promo code Team No Sleep. So
Awesome.
check them out. I will put the link to their store in the description, but it's lovemore916.com and they got some pretty dope stuff. I'm a cop this right here, this whole little suit right here, which is pretty dope. So yeah, just wanted to give a shout out to that and appreciate Sydney and his family for supporting the team, supporting the channel, and being a part of the community. So that is really cool right there. Yeah. So there you go.
Big
Free
love. That's
gift,
good.
free look at free gift with your purchase on orders of over $40. Man, y'all go ahead and buy some things from Lovemore. So we got Lovemore, we got Sly, right? We
We
got we
got
got the we got
we got Strike
indoor
Force.
football. Man, we got okay.
Yeah, this
So,
coming. It's coming along. It's coming
hey,
along, man. We're getting there.
yeah. We got indoor football. We got Sly energy drinks. We got Lovemore. We got some sponsorships happening. We're gonna raise the rates now. I'm gonna lock down all comments to only members. Well, I'm not gonna do
Not yet.
that.
Not yet. We almost there.
We're
We
not we're
almost
not
there.
gonna do that. We're not gonna do that.
Yeah.
Um, all right, man. So yeah, Shirley says congratulations, Lovemore. Yeah, they've got some cool stuff out there. So check them out. Look, hold on, man. Don't let me order something right now. Y'all know I'm down with the. They got a black one. Mm.
Yeah, man.
Oh,
Take that offline, man. You gotta take that offline,
oh,
though.
okay. See, I don't want anybody to see my credit card number. I'm gonna
Yeah, yeah.
pay later.
We'll all be
That's
ordering the black hoodies then.
I know that's dope right there.
That's nice. That's real
Yeah.
nice.
I'm gonna get me one of those. So again, so we got that, and again, if you guys are interested in going to the Strike Force game this Sunday, hit me or Montel up so we can get you the promo code so you guys can get up in there free down in San Diego. Montel, take us home, brother.
Yep. Hey, check on those about mental health. You got to check on your family members, make sure they're all right. Like I said, be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations because that's the way we learn. We out.
That's it, y'all. Be good.